Hi everyone, and welcome back to my kitchen. Today I have a new Eastern European recipe for you guys, and I want to show you how to make my favorite smoked salmon piroshki. These are so incredibly delicious and they're super fun to make. We're going to get things started with the soft yeast dough, and then for the filling we'll be using cream cheese, farmer's cheese, lots of smoked salmon, and a little bit of dill. The flavors here are just out of this world amazing. These are so incredibly delicious. Now, if you want more Eastern European recipes or more piroshki recipes, make sure to check out my cookbook, Beyond Borscht. You guys are going to love everything about this book. I'm going to leave the order link down the video description box below. Meanwhile, let's get started on the recipe, and today we're going to get started with the soft yeast dough first. And for today's recipe, I'm going to be using 1 cup of whole milk. I've heated this in the microwave. You want the temperature to be between 110 and 120 degrees Fahrenheit to properly activate the yeast, because if the milk is too hot, it's going to destroy it. And I'll pour the milk into a large mixing bowl and then sprinkle on 2 teaspoons of dry active yeast. And I'm going to allow this milk and yeast mixture to stand for about 5 minutes, and then we'll add the rest of our ingredients. And next, into the yeast and milk mixture, I'm going to add in a 1/3 cup of melted butter. You can use salted or unsalted butter. Just make sure that the butter isn't too hot. Let it sit at room temperature for a couple minutes before you add it into this mixture. Pour it right in. Next, I'll add in 1 large egg, 2 teaspoons of white granulated sugar, and 1/2 teaspoon of salt. And I'll use my whisk to give this a really quick mix. Just want to mix it until the egg is well beaten. And now I could start adding my flour. So I measured out 3 3/4 cups of all-purpose flour. I'm going to start by adding about a cup at a time. Drop it into the mixing bowl. I'm going to start out by using my whisk, and then I'll switch over to my wooden spoon once the dough starts to come together. Just add it in there, mix it until there's no clumps remaining. And this dough is just so soft and buttery. I use it for all of my piroshki recipes, and it's just been a favorite of mine for many, many years. And my dough has started to come together quite nicely. I'm going to grab the remainder of my flour, just sprinkle some over my work surface, and then we'll turn the dough out. I'll sprinkle some more flour over the top, and then just continue adding the flour as needed until a smooth and elastic dough forms. And once a dough forms, I'm going to knead it for another 3 to 4 minutes until it's really nice and smooth. And this dough has turned out beautifully. You are going for a super soft yeast dough that's just barely not sticky. Now, I ended up not adding all of my flour in the dough. Add just enough until that dough forms into a nice smooth ball. I'm going to keep the rest of this flour on the side for when we're shaping the piroshki. I'm going to finish kneading my dough into a ball. I'm going to grab the same mixing bowl. I usually don't even bother washing it, just drop it in there. We're going to cover this bowl with a clean towel or a dinner napkin. I'm going to place this yeast dough into a warm corner of my kitchen and let it proof for about an hour, hour and a half until it has doubled up in size. While the dough is proofing, it's the perfect time to make our smoked salmon filling with the cream cheese, some farmer's cheese, and I love to add a little bit of dill. It adds that quintessential Eastern European flavor. I'm going to start my filling with the softened onions first. So into a frying pan, I'm going to add in 2 tablespoons of butter. Let that butter melt first. And into the melted butter, I'm going to add in 1 large diced onion. And I'll let these onions cook over medium heat for about 5 to 7 minutes until they're translucent and tender. And these onions are just about done. I am not looking to brown the onions, just cooking them until they're nice and soft. Now I'm going to take them off the heat and let them cool while I'm making the rest of the filling. Next up, we have our cheese. So I've softened 12 ounces of cream cheese at room temperature for about 30 minutes now. I'm going to grab my hand mixer and mix the cheese for a couple minutes until it's nice and smooth. And to my beaten cream cheese, I'm going to add in 1 cup of farmer's cheese, measure that out. And I picked this particular cheese up at my local Russian store. I know that Whole Foods also sells it. It's either called farmer's cheese or quark. So I'll leave some more ideas for different cheeses up on my website. And to the cheese, I'm also going to add in my onions. Drop those in. These are going to add lots of great flavor to the filling. And we'll add in a teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, half a teaspoon of smoked paprika, and a couple tablespoons of fresh dill. And a bit of cracked black pepper is always a great idea. And now let's talk about the salmon. So today I'm going to be using 1 pound of hot smoked salmon. This is the exact brand that I'm using today. I picked it up at Costco. Now this hot smoked salmon is a little bit different than lox salmon or like sliced smoked salmon that you would use for your bagels. It comes in a large chunk and then you can kind of pull it apart. It flakes really easily and it's so juicy and moist. It's going to be the perfect salmon to use for our smoked salmon piroshki filling. So let's get this out of the package and we'll kind of just pull it apart and add it to the cheese. And I like to wear gloves just because this fish is a little bit oily. I also don't want my fingers to smell like salmon all day. And just break it apart into smaller pieces. And you can leave some of them as larger chunks. It's only going to improve the texture of the filling. And then I'll add this beautiful smoked salmon to my cream cheese and onion mixture. Drop it into the mixing bowl. I have a feeling I probably should have grabbed a bigger mixing bowl, but this will work. And I'll use my spatula to combine everything together. So you want a uniform mixture of the smoked salmon, the onions, and of course, the cream cheese and the farmer's cheese. I have my smoked salmon filling all done. My dough has proofed nicely and now it's time to make some piroshki. So I'm going to punch this dough down, turn it back out onto my work surface. We're just gonna give a quick knead, sprinkle some of that leftover flour onto the surface. And then we're going to divide the dough evenly into 8 pieces. So this recipe will make 8 piroshki. And I'm going to cover the dough so it doesn't dry out because I'll be working with just 1 piece at a time. I'm going to flour my rolling pin lightly and then we're going to roll the dough out, not in a traditional circle like most piroshki. We're going to roll it out into a nice oval shape because I actually want to make little fish-shaped smoked salmon piroshki. And now for the filling. I actually tried to portion this filling into 8 equal portions. I'm going to drop that in. It's a little bit over like a 1/3 cup. And then for sealing the piroshki, you want to kind of pull the dough up and around the filling and then pinch it as tightly as you can. You want to make sure that you're not getting any filling on the edges of the dough, otherwise it's not going to close properly. And I want to give these smoked salmon piroshki a little bit of like a fish tail on the end. So what I did is I left some of the filling like closer up to this section. I just pinched the dough here. We're going to grab a paring knife and then you can make a little fish tail. I know it doesn't look perfect, but it adds a little something extra. And I've lined 2 baking sheets with silicone mats today, because these do need a little bit of space to proof and grow and bake. Just place them on here. All right, finishing up on my last smoked salmon pirozhok. These are looking so good. I'm loving this fish shape. So these are actually inspired by my favorite little piroshki cafe, and it's in Seattle at the Pike Place Market. It's called Piroshki. I'm sure many of you have heard of the place, but actually I haven't had the chance to go there for a couple years. But whenever I'm in town, I do love to stop by and grab a few piroshki from there. All right, and as soon as these are all done, I'm just going to let them proof at room temperature for about 30 to 40 minutes. I'm gonna get my oven preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and then right before these go into the oven, I'm gonna show you how to add an egg wash and some more fresh dill on top. And my piroshki have proofed nicely. I'm just about ready to put them in the oven. I'm just going to brush them with an egg wash. And for this, I just placed an egg into a measuring cup, added about a tablespoon of water, and gave it a really good mix. You want to use a pastry brush and brush it really well all over. And I'm going to sprinkle some more fresh dill over the top. And then as this bakes, they're going to look so beautiful with that egg wash. And my smoked salmon piroshki are ready for the oven. It's preheated to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and they're going to bake for about 28 to 32 minutes until they are a rich golden brown color on the outside. And then once they're done baking, I like to transfer them onto a wire rack to cool completely. Just make sure you're baking one pan sheet at a time. That way they'll bake nice and even. I just took these out of the oven and they look so incredible, and they smell really delicious too. Just going to transfer them onto a wire rack. They're going to be extremely hot when you first take them out of the oven. All right, I let these cool down a little bit, and now I want to break one open so you guys can see the incredible filling on the inside. And check out this filling. That cheese has really melted down combined with the salmon. It's almost like a salmon pate filling. And then I love this bread. It has this like golden crispiness on the outside, and it's still soft and fluffy on the inside. And that's it for my smoked salmon piroshki recipe. These turned out incredible, and they filled my whole kitchen with the most mouth-watering aroma. So I can't wait to dig in and enjoy. Now for the full recipe, make sure to head on down the video description box. I'll have a link there that'll take you over to my website, and you can find the US measurements and the metric measurements in my recipe card. I'm also going to include a link for my cookbook Beyond Borscht. I have more piroshki recipes in there as well. And now let's dig in. These look so good. I just love the soft yeast dough on the outside. It looks so good. These are insanely delicious. I am loving that incredible smoked salmon filling. That cheese and the salmon have come together, and they just like melt into your mouth. And then you have the soft yeast dough. The trick is you must eat them while they're warm. When they're warm, they're just the best. Wait about 15 to 20 minutes for them to cool down because they are going to be super hot, but then just dig in and eat all of them. They're so good. If you've never tried smoked salmon piroshki before, or you've never had piroshki before, you have to give these a try. They are so delicious, just an explosion of incredible smoked salmon flavor. It's combined so well with the cream cheese and then the farmer's cheese. I love having little bits of the softened onion there as well, and then the fresh dill. It's just incredible. You guys are gonna have your minds blown. Head on down the video description box for the recipe link. I hope you guys enjoy this recipe as much as I do, and if you do make it, you can always share with me on Facebook or Instagram. Thank you guys so much for watching this recipe, and I'll see you next time with a new one.